If Machiavelli were alive today, he wouldn't have a podcast. He wouldn't post motivational quotes on Instagram. He wouldn't chase algorithms, trends, or validation. He'd be invisible, hidden in boardrooms, war rooms, and private networks you've never heard of. You wouldn't see him, but you'd feel him. His influence would echo through policies, decisions, whispers in corridors of power. In a world obsessed with being seen, he would dominate by not being seen at all. Because today, the most powerful man isn't the loudest in the room. He's the one who made everyone else speak first. And that's exactly what this video will give you. Not abstract theory, not recycled advice, but 20 modern Machiavellian rules, crafted not for kings, but for anyone who dares to outsmart, outmaneuver, and outlast the world. If you don't understand these rules, you will be used. You'll be outplayed by people who do. Because power today isn't declared, it's disguised. You'll believe someone's your friend while they erase your future. You'll defend your values while someone else rewrites the rules. You'll chase fairness while the game is rigged. And when it all falls apart, you won't know who pulled the strings, only that it wasn't you. That's why these 20 Machiavellian rules aren't suggestions. They're survival. Rule 1. Let them think you're harmless. The greatest threat is the one that doesn't look like one. Machiavelli knew that being feared is powerful, but only if it comes late. Early fear triggers resistance. Suspicion. Tanus. But if they believe you're weak, you'll see everything. Hear everything. Be invited into places no threat would ever be allowed. Today, everyone's rushing to prove their worth. You do the opposite. Understate. Undersell. Underwhelm until it's too late to stop you. Rule 2. Never reveal your true intent. The moment they know what you want, they'll prepare against it. They'll calculate your motives, twist your purpose, and use your transparency as a weapon. But when your goal is hidden, they exhaust themselves trying to guess your move and waste their strength reacting to shadows. Control is not about force. It's about mystery. Let them watch. Let them guess. But never let them see. Rule 3. Use charm as a weapon. Kindness is not weakness. It's strategy. Machiavelli wouldn't bark orders. He'd smile, compliment, mirror your words, validate your insecurities. But because charm disarms, people lower their guard when they feel understood. And once the armor's down, you don't need to force your will. You just guide theirs. Charm isn't being liked. It's being trusted enough to be let inside and dangerous enough to never leave. Rule 4. Control the flow of information. In the age of overexposure, information is a currency. And if you leak too much of it, you lose value. Machiavelli wouldn't rant online. He'd listen. He'd let others post, boast, reveal, while he gathered every drop of intel in silence. He'd release just enough to be seen, but never enough to be understood. Rule 5. Say less than necessary. The loudest man is the easiest to predict. The quiet one, the one who speaks in sharp, calculated sentences, becomes dangerous. But because people project. If you don't speak your plan, they'll imagine a darker one. If you don't respond, they'll fear what you're holding back. You don't gain power by speaking. You gain it by forcing others to speak for you. Rule 6. Master the art of delayed revenge. Reacting is emotional. Waiting is strategic. When someone wrongs you, don't explode. Don't retaliate. Just observe. Let time pass. Let them relax. Let them forget. And when they least expect it, strike clean, cold, and without mercy. Revenge isn't just about punishment. It's about timing. The longer they forget, the deeper the wound when you return. Rule 7. Become a mirror. People love themselves. They trust people who reflect that back. Machiavelli wouldn't try to be interesting. He'd make others feel interesting. He'd reflect their ideas, echo their frustrations, admire their strength. And in doing so, he'd become indispensable without ever showing his own cards. They won't realize it's manipulation. They'll call it connection. Rule 8. Let them win small battles. You don't have to dominate every argument. In fact, Machiavelli would lose the small ones on purpose. He'd let them feel smart, let them feel right, let them celebrate, while he quietly positioned himself to win the war. Because when people believe they've won, they stop guarding the crown. And that's when you take it. Rule 9. Create psychological debt. Don't give without strategy. Every favor should create imbalance. You solve a problem. You lend your expertise. You help them rise. But you never ask for repayment. You let the discomfort grow. You let the guilt fester. And then, when the moment comes, you collect, not with force, but with expectation. Guilt is heavier than obligation. And it lasts longer too. Rule 10. Entangle them in their own betrayal. Loyalty isn't earned by favors. It's bought with shared secrets. Machiavelli would let people compromise themselves. Let them share gossip. Break rules. Confide in him what they shouldn't. And once they do, they're his. Because when someone sins in your direction, they defend you to justify it. Rule 11. Be predictable in public, unpredictable in power. People trust patterns. They fear deviations. So Machiavelli would play the game publicly, consistent, agreeable, supportive. But behind the scenes, he'd shift tactics. One day generous. One day cold. Not erratic, calculated chaos. Because when they can't predict you, they can't prepare for you. Rule 12. Build a persona, then break it slightly. People love perfection, but they obsess over flaws. So you build the perfect persona, intelligent, composed, kind. Then one day crack it. Reveal a sharp edge. A flash of ruthlessness. A darkness they didn't expect. Now they're addicted. Not to you, but to the mystery of what else you're hiding. Rule 13. Hide the knife behind a smile. The deadliest strike comes from the one they trusted. So Machiavelli would smile while sharpening the blade. He wouldn't confront. He'd flatter. He'd laugh with you. Support you. Then disappear, right before everything collapses. The lesson? Be friendly. Be warm. Be invisible until it's too late to stop you. Rule 14. Feed their ego to control their actions. People will do anything to preserve the story they believe about themselves. Machiavelli would give them that story. He'd call them visionary, brave, loyal. And in doing so, they'd do anything to stay that way in his eyes. Flattery isn't weakness. It's leverage. Rule 15. Infect their alliances with doubt. To break a group, you don't attack it. You infect it. One whisper. One hint. One, I'm not saying anything, but just notice how they act. That's all it takes. Once the alliance suspects each other, you don't need to destroy them. They'll do it themselves. Rule 16. Disappear to become powerful. Sometimes, absence is more powerful than presence. Machiavelli wouldn't show up every time. He'd withdraw, strategically. He'd let them miss him. Let them realize how much they leaned on him. Let the silence become heavy. And when he returned, he'd return not as a man, but as a necessity. Rule 17. Make them dependent without them knowing. Don't announce your value. Just solve what no one else can. Show up where others fail. Provide clarity in confusion. And slowly, invisibly, you become the foundation they didn't realize they were standing on. Then, if you ever pull away, they collapse. Rule 18. Blur the line between friend and foe. Keep them guessing. Today, you support them. Tomorrow, you disappear. Then you return, compliment their rival, praise their enemy. Not to betray, but to confuse. Because when people don't know where you stand, they prepare for every possibility. And in doing so, they exhaust themselves defending against things you never said. Rule 19. Speak rarely, but make every word a weapon. Machiavelli wouldn't ramble. He'd speak with intent. Precision. He'd use language like a scalpel, sharp, clean, effective. Then stop. And that silence? That pause after a single line? That's where your power multiplies. Because what's unsaid is more haunting than what's spoken. Rule 20. Become the standard they measure against. The final rule is not about domination. It's about legacy. Machiavelli wouldn't want applause. He'd want imprint. He'd behave so strategically, so deliberately, that every decision after him would be compared to what he would have done. He wouldn't just win. He'd become the reference point for winning. Rule 21. Disguise power as help. The most powerful manipulations feel like favors. Machiavelli wouldn't dominate with force. He'd do it by solving problems you didn't know you had. He'd mentor you, uplift you, teach you what no one else would. And all the while, you'd believe he was helping. But every lesson is a chain. Every solution makes you rely on him more. Until the moment comes when you can't move without his voice in your head. And by then, it's not influence. It's ownership. Rule 22. Be the calm in chaos. When everything falls apart, people look for anchors. In panic, the loudest screamers fade. But the one who remains still, poised, precise, prepared, becomes the natural leader. Machiavelli wouldn't panic. He'd wait for everyone else to lose their minds, then step forward with clarity. In moments of chaos, stillness becomes dominance. Not because you're louder, but because your silence cuts sharper than panic ever could. Rule 23. Master passive control. Power doesn't always need to act. Sometimes it just needs to exist. Machiavelli would master the art of passive control, where your name alone shifts decisions, where people consider your reaction before you even give it, where your silence becomes a veto and your presence an endorsement. This isn't charisma. It's gravitational pull. You don't chase attention. You become the thing they orbit. Rule 24. Let them think it was their idea. The most effective manipulation is invisible. Machiavelli wouldn't argue. He wouldn't convince. He'd guide. He'd suggest in fragments. Plant thoughts subtly. And by the time the other person acts, they believe it was their own idea. That's the highest level of power, when your influence feels like their free will. Rule 25. Use absence to raise your value. Most people overexpose themselves. They're too available, too eager. And in doing so, they dilute their worth. But Machiavelli would vanish. Not forever. Just long enough to create distance. Long enough to create curiosity. And when he returned, his presence would feel rare, precious, respected. Because people don't value what they always have. They crave what they think they've lost. Rule 26. Control perception, not reality. Reality is messy. But perception? That's controllable. Machiavelli wouldn't waste time trying to be perfect. He'd focus on appearing perfect. He'd use rumors, symbols, language, timing, everything to control what people think he is. Because once you own the story, you don't have to defend your truth. They'll defend it for you. Rule 27. Win without fighting. The most Machiavellian victory doesn't involve a fight. It involves surrender. But not yours. Not through force. Through inevitability. You make them believe that resistance is pointless. That your rise cannot be stopped. That aligning with you is safer than standing against you. You don't take the throne. You let them hand it to you, just to protect themselves. Rule 28. Haunt their mind, not their life. You don't need to be present to dominate. You just need to live rent-free in their mind. Machiavelli would make a single comment. A subtle move. A delayed reaction. And that alone would make them question everything for weeks. You don't show up. You don't confront. You let their imagination do the damage. Rule 29. Turn emotions into weapons. Most people are driven by feelings. Fear, shame, pride, anger. Machiavelli wouldn't avoid emotion. He'd harness it. He'd frame statements to trigger guilt. Time his words to ignite fear. Withhold support to make you crave approval. And just when you think you've earned his praise, he'd pull it back. Not to punish, but to remind you who's in control of how you feel. Rule 30. Build a legacy, not a moment. Anyone can dominate briefly. Machiavelli wasn't interested in flashes of power. He wanted permanence. He wanted to become a ghost in the machine. A force embedded into culture, decisions, systems. Something that couldn't be erased, only inherited. He wouldn't fight for recognition. He'd shape the system in a way that made removal impossible. That's not influence. That's immortality. Now you see, this isn't about evil. It's about understanding. Because while others are playing fair, they're being played. While others shout their values, they're being silently erased. While others beg for respect, they're being forgotten. But you now hold the playbook. You now carry the 20 rules, 20 blades sharpened by silence, strategy, and psychological clarity. Machiavelli never needed a crown. And neither do you. His power came from the shadows, from timing, from stillness, from a mastery of human nature so precise, it made kings tremble and enemies kneel, without him ever raising his voice. That's how you win. Not by noise, not by fame, but by becoming the force they fear, follow, or never even see coming. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them believe you've lost interest. And when the moment is right. Because true power isn't something you show. It's something they never recover from.